Hey, good to see you. The groove is in the heart. Thank you for tuning in to the Sixers Talk podcast, brought to you by Wilmington University. WilmU Works. It is a two-person show, excuse me.
It's a universal man.
Universal man. Me and Amy running the two-man game. Noah Levick is off monitoring the draft, getting articles ready for NBC Sports Philadelphia.com. So check out his work there. But Amy is fresh off a train trip to Brooklyn.
Yes, I am.
She made it back in one piece and had some fantastic reporting where she caught up with Sixers first round pick VJ Edgecombe, as well as Thomas Sorber, the 15th overall pick for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
And
funnily enough, I was waiting. So how it works, you have to like kind of you commandeer the guys or whatever, and they say like, oh, you want a one-on-one, and they had these little like pods or whatever set up. And so we were getting ready to do our one-on-one after like the regular availability with the local reporters. And he looks up, VJ Edgecombe looks up because there's like TV like above ish where we were, and he goes, oh, my man Thomas. And I was like, ooh, Thomas Sorber got selected right now. And he's like, yeah, 15th to the Thunder. So because where we were, we were like locked in.
I would love to know what that connection is.
I don't know. Yeah. Like he was super tight. I think that Chris Smith got it. He's super tight. VJ Edgecombe was when Trey Johnson walked by with the culottes.
Oh, yes. And the double-breasted.
Yeah. Well, double-breasted was the order of the day. I saw a lot of double-breasted, but they had like a huge hug fest. When we were getting ready, Smithers, I think, shot that, but I don't know. I don't know. AAU, I never know how like some of these guys know each other. But he was like, "Oh, Thomas," and I was like, "Oh," but I didn't even know he got drafted.
Team USA stuff.
And I just looked up. I couldn't see. So like because you're in back there, you're not unless you're like by the television, you miss it. But he's the one who told me.
Sorber, fantastic story.
Great story.
But Edgecombe's story is
living on a generator.
Yeah, is one of those where you just can't help but root for the kid. He will wear number 77, it appears, here for the Philadelphia 76ers, will VJ Edgecombe. And we got to show some love to Johni Broome, who is the Sixers' second round pick. Amy did not have a chance to talk to him, but
sadly not.
You can check out him, I'm sure, at a court near you soon with the 76ers, as I'm sure he'll be on the Summer League team as he tries to make his way here in the NBA. But this is a little bit Johni Broome, just a draft pick that kind of runs counter to some of the things that this team has done in the past, because this is a guy who's been well seasoned in his college basketball career. 22 years old, unanimous All-American along with Cooper Flagg, SEC Player of the Year. Some pretty good numbers here, as he's he is the only player in college basketball history to score 2,500 or more points, 1,500 or more rebounds, and 400 or more block shots. So
it's a fun fact.
It is a fun fact. And he brings some energy. He brings some competitiveness, a real hardworking type of guy. You may have seen him if you're not familiar with him, because his NBA draft combine vertical leap was criticized because it was only 24.5 inches. And Desmond Watson, the 6'6", 464-pound Florida lineman, has a 25-inch vertical leap. So you just have a little dichotomy.
I've seen him dunk, so I know he can dunk.
He can dunk.
I've seen him dunk.
But he ain't gonna he's not touching the top of the backboard.
No, he's not. Like that. I don't need him to. That's not his role.
You do not need him to. It'll be interesting to see what kind of role he has with this team. We have not heard from Daryl Morey or any of the media yet about the Johni Broome selection, but we did hear from them about the VJ Edgecombe selection. And interestingly enough, Amy, a question many people had is they bring in another guard.
Yes.
And they already have Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey in the fold, as well as possibly re-signing Quentin Grimes. Daryl Morey addressed that yesterday, saying that he hopes to have all those guys back. And Ty Johnson made the point in our post-draft podcast that we did while you were in Brooklyn that he feels like Quentin Grimes maybe isn't as high on the free agency list as Sixers fans might think. He had a list of possible free agents and ranking them from 1 to whatever. And Grimes was like 21st on the list of free agents for next year. Of course, we got to see him up close and personal.
Please tell who else was on that list.
We didn't even go down the list, but I'm just
21.
saying 21. He was like 21st on the list of potential free agents. And he's restricted too. So maybe that might have something to do with it.
Yeah,
the fact that the Sixers also get to match whatever offer that he gets. But I'm saying all that to say that it could be a crowded backcourt, and time might be at a premium. But I brought this point up to Mark Jackson yesterday that we thought Jared McCain wouldn't be able to see the floor. But man, that training camp started and everyone consistently said that he was like the best player out there, and the way he was contributing, and he just brought energy and infectiousness that made you not be able to keep him off the floor. And Edgecombe's defense could be the catalyst to that as well, as he brings something that maybe isn't very rampant on the 76ers, is this high intensity defense that he brings.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because you'll remember in the summer league, Jared McCain had a horrible summer league, like one for the record books, just terrible. Couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, was slow. His defense was non-existent, and everybody thought, uh-oh. And then he has this incredible camp. And I remember being out there on media day, and there was talk about Jared McCain starting the year and playing some time at the G League. And that was just expected because of how loaded the Sixers roster was. Yeah. Obviously, he
made sense at the time.
And it did. And you thought, well, unless something goes really wrong, you have a lot of guards. They were all older, but you had a lot of guards. You had Tyrese Maxey on the young side, but then you looked at Eric Gordon and Reggie Jackson and Kyle Lowry. You had a real gluttony of guards. That did not come to be. Those guys were injured and on the older side, and they did not acquit themselves very well. And Jared McCain comes in and did in training camp, which started after media day, and then worked his way in and was
the big gamer. Like when the games happened,
when the light was bright, he turned on and he played the role that he needed to play, and so they had to play him. It's crazy to think about.
And Quentin Grimes, are you feeling like you want to re-sign him? Are you moving all of your efforts into re-signing Gershon Yabusele? How are you trying to help it make it easier for Edgecombe to find a path here?
Yeah, it's funny. Our pre and post game producer Brian Brennan asked me the same thing, and I was very hesitant to say Quentin Grimes, but I still am going to say Quentin Grimes because of the scoring that he does give you. And it's not to say that Gershon Yabusele doesn't score for large chunks, if not the entire season. He was your best 3-point shooter. Not that that's, necessarily where you want him to be, because you needed him to be that. I thought he was a little too up and down offensively, and I don't think that was anything fault of his own, because it was just the role he was forced to play in the way that the team was constructed last year with all the injuries. It was
so you're saying you're prioritizing Grimes over
I am, just because of how this team is going to operate.
I love that we get so many conflicting thoughts on what the Sixers should
everybody's
do
just
and how they proceed. Yeah.
The reason I would keep Grimes is because you know for a fact that you're not going to get all of your stars to play together. They're not going to play 80 games together. You're lucky if they play 50 games together. I think that's the bar. And so for me, I need someone that can score at will. And Quentin Grimes had that streak where he's scoring 20 points a game, 9 out of 10 games in a row. He has shown that he can be that high level scorer. And it was coming, yes, against teams that were sometimes, in the same way and fashion you were, as far as like they were injured and their stars were out and whatever else. But he also did it against teams like the Mavericks, who were fighting for playoff spots, like the Timberwolves, who were fighting for their positioning in the playoffs. So I liked the way he acquitted himself. I thought having a nice bigger guard, to me, that's one of the reasons I wanted Trey Johnson, because at 6'6", you could pair him with Jared McCain and make him in that second unit a similar style as Quentin Grimes and Tyrese Maxey. There's your match set if you want to have those as the starters. And in this case, VJ Edgecombe. Also, I had someone when I was up there, they're like, I don't like Edgecombe. He's like 6'3", 6'4", and I'm like, he's definitely closer to 6'6" with shoes on. He's like, yeah. And I was like, they play with shoes on. So even like when I got back here, Brian was like, how tall do you think he was? Because that's a big, measurable, truly measurable. And I was like, I had my heels on. I was a little over 6 feet. I think he was about 4 inches taller than me. So I think he's every bit of like 6'5", which I think is good. I want a bigger guard to go along with my undersized guard. So that's me.
And obviously Maxey and McCain and Grimes flourish, off the ball. They can create their own shot in a lot of ways, but this is a guy who can impact the game without having the ball in his hands, who can be the transition, defense and the offense type of guy, or eventually, like Daryl Morey alluded to, at some point, he'll be able to hopefully be the guy that can guard the opposing team's best player. And
Quentin Grimes did that for when he was out there last year.
Yeah. And I just am optimistic that a guy that is that athletic and that strong defensively will find minutes for that type of guy. Where as maybe a ball dominant guard, you just be like, all right, well, we already have a ball dominant guard. We can work you in when that person's on the bench, or there's more caveats to figure out. But
I can guarantee you this though, Daniel.
What?
Whoever they don't sign will have an incredible year.
Just because
whoever they don't sign will have an incredible year.
Whoever it is,
yes. Whether it's Gershon or it's Quentin Grimes, whoever they don't sign will go on and have like an all-star caliber.
That's the type of situation. Yeah, that's the type of situation that we have come to know here in Philadelphia extremely well. I think we should pay some bills. Let's show some love to our title sponsor, Wilmington University. Hey, advance your career with a graduate degree from Wilmington University. At WilmU, your dream is our mission. Get to know us at wilmu.edu. Amy, we thought the Sixers might have a chance at Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joe's in the second round, but the very first pick of the second round, he was off the board.
That's great value because he's probably back in the first round, but there's so many things attached to those first round picks when it comes to their contract. Yeah. So they get a really nice player.
Right. You get a player who you don't have to throw guarantee money to. Phoenix is the team that wanted him. And he was so taken aback by being drafted in the interview of Monica McNutt after he really literally could not say anything.
I mean, I think he literally probably just got into a spot and was just like, "Oh, I'm out there on the clock and I'm here." Okay, great.
You know what? He's like, I don't even know what to say. It's just I'm so overwhelmed. He just was almost speechless. And props to him and his family. He seems like a great kid.
Yes, agreed.
And brings a definite strong skill set and maybe a chip on his shoulder as well to the Phoenix situation. Let's talk about this Ace Bailey situation a little bit,
shall
Amy.
we? I'd have to tell you, that was it's been the talk around. It was absolutely the talk of the draft. I mean, when he was selected, it was, so we're in the media workroom and it's just like, what happened? And
the memes were flying.
And as soon, so the guys, they get drafted or whatever, and everybody saw his reaction, and then they're like, oh, what is he going to be like? So he does the initial interviews, and those guys all have great initial interviews because really they've realized their dream. No matter what the situation is with the team or whatever, this is their dream. Their dream is to make it to the NBA, and these guys are realizing it. So those are always great initial reactions and the emotions or whatever. But they were so guarded, and he was so. It wasn't like coded language, but it was just so careful.
Yeah.
Careful language. And we all saw the interview before the draft too, where he was like, I'm focusing on basketball. Well, workouts would have been basketball.
Right.
But then, so after they do all the couple of TV interviews, they come back for this larger press conference. When I tell you that like everyone got up to go like sit in on that or stand in on that, there was usually maybe like, I don't know, 5-6 people in there asking questions because either you're getting it, or you're not interested because you're not covering that team or that player is not local to you, or you're just waiting for your turn. Like 15 people just all rose up. Me, Keith Pompey, Gina Mizell were all like, let's just go pop in to see what this guy's going to say. It was super intriguing because you wanted someone to just. And there was a guy that asked, like, what do you know about, clearly from Utah.
Yeah.
He was like, what do you know about Utah? It's a really great place. I mean, he was like mayor of mayor of Salt Lake City, governor of Utah type of vibe. He's like, it's a really great place. And have you ever known anybody from Utah? Have you ever been to Utah? He was like a Utah, commissioner, it seems like, as far as like advertising and whatever. It was great. He was very, very careful, Ace Bailey was, and what he said.
Danny Ainge said, I don't care if you don't want to come here.
And that's the thing is, there was that report that there was one team in that top 5. I think it was the Sixers that he was not going to show up for.
Listen,
I mean, I don't think he wanted to go to Utah. I don't think that was any kind of secret.
It's funny you say that. That was Ty and Mark Jackson's guy. They both wanted the Sixers to pick him at number 3.
I think he would have.
And Mark said
not
that
come. Sat out.
Mark says Ace Bailey started right next to Paul George.
Stop it.
Along with Maxey and Embiid.
I've got to text Ty about his top 21 free agents, and then I'm going to text Mark about that.
Mark was serious about that.
Listen,
you start Ace Bailey right away.
We talked about it. He definitely has the highest upside, but because it's almost like a catch-22. It's because he didn't show a lot at Rutgers. And by the way, I just have to say this.
Well, of course, Mark's caveat is I've been watching this kid play since 8th grade. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen all the progression and everything else.
Great. And I think he does have a high ceiling. The head coach of Rutgers basketball was like holding court like a king. Oh yeah, no, I'll take an interview. And like people are lining up. And I was like, you know what? Power to you. But you had 2 top 5 picks and you didn't make the tournament.
Right.
I can't imagine a coach that I would want to talk to less about what he thinks the guy is going to do at the next level.
What were they, 15 and 19, I think?
They barely made the Big Ten tournament.
I mean,
it was hilarious. I was like, I'm sure obviously he knows him well. And I'm just kidding. Like he's obviously going to be a good interview and insight on what Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are going to be like. But I was like, you got to,
Amy,
for you, puff your chest out, guy.
You've seen that firsthand, though, of a group of first-year players underperform, especially covering, loving Kentucky and being a Kentucky alum.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen
they don't come to fruition.
Yeah, these things not play out that way. But I thought it was very telltale that Daryl Morey, when he spoke about Edgecombe, he paraphrasing, he essentially said that he wanted to be here. Like that was part of the thing. So that's completely contradictory to what Ace Bailey wanted, because it didn't seem like he wanted to be here.
I don't think he wanted to be here, just because I think he wants to be able to, we're talking about a ball dominant guard. He wants to be the ball dominant guard. He wants the ball in his hands. He wants to be the guy. There's only a couple places, and it was the Jazz. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the Wizards. The Wizards were probably his ideal location, because that was a place.
And they got your boy.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, Trey Johnson.
Yes, they do. I know. I saw it. I was like, I love that pick. I'm a big Trey. I'm a big Trey. But I like VJ Edgecombe quite a bit. I liked it before. I know you and I talked on the clock special, and I thought that's where they were going to go. But I still really like Trey Johnson.
And it's just, like I said, Morey alluded to the point that he wanted to be here, and he just seems like one of those dogged. Part of the thing with this bevy of guards is that you hope the cream rises to the top. So I could see him like competing for time, he making Quentin Grimes better, making Maxey better, making McCain better, because he's like guarding them basically 94 feet in practice.
He's going to be the guy that they tell him, like, hey, if you want to see the court, do X, Y, and Z. And he's going to do that to the best of his ability. I think he's just a real...
And him and Eric Gordon have the Bahamian connection.
Eric Gordon, obviously. Buddy Hield was there with him yesterday, which was great.
That was cool.
Yeah, which I thought was really neat. Like,
I heard that from your interview with him.
It was really neat to see. I mean, and Buddy wasn't the type, like, getting on camera with him. He was just there showing support, sitting kind of in the wings or whatever, because they have a very good relationship. I mean, the entire island, as he put it, is 7 miles long. So he said everybody knows everybody, but they're getting a good footprint in the basketball world. But Buddy Hield is his guy. Like, that is his like super, super close pal. Obviously, they played on the Bahamian national team together. They've trained together before in the off seasons. And it's just, I think that VJ Edgecombe is such an interesting player that I think he did want to come here to Philadelphia. But I think if he would taken a 2 or 4 or 5, he also would have. He just is a guy that seems like, all right, I'm going to work, and this is my dream, and I'm going to make it my reality.
You were fantastic up there, Amy. I really thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
And the interviews were on point, and the timing and the flow was great. You could tell that the subjects, Sorber and Edgecombe, were very comfortable speaking with you.
That's nice.
I feel like you dropped the ball a little bit, though, fam. You were supposed to ask Edgecombe who would win between Buddy Hield and 100 Apples, but you didn't. Where did Amy go? Amy's going. I love catching you off guard. That is one of my favorite things. But that's awesome. The Sixers do a great job here, Amy. And it's other things that have happened around the NBA.
I can't believe it.
Other things that happened around the NBA. The Celtics traded Drew Holiday.
The Celtics are like, whatever. Yeah. Let's just start again. They had a chance to get Kalkbrenner tonight, and they're like, no, we're good, fam.
Yeah, right. They traded Drew Holiday.
That seemed like and then they got a Amari Williams, Drexel. Let me some Amari Williams,
and they traded Kristaps Porzingis as well.
I mean, Tatum's going to be out for a bit.
Supposedly Derek White might be on the trading block.
So they have Jaylen Brown. Don't get me wrong. Still great player. But one of the guys that got you to the title, Drew Holiday, you shipped him out. And I get that Drew Holiday's on the older side, but he is still one of the premier on-ball defenders in the NBA. Porzingis has been injured on and off, but when he's on, he's exceptionally valuable, especially for the Celtics, because of what he's able to do as far as a floor spacer and shoot the 3 as well. So I thought that was very interesting. And I guess they wanted to get a little bit younger, but
ton of money. Saved a ton of money with the holiday trade.
Who are they making a run at then? Who are they saving the money for?
I feel like they are just trying to get help. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't rule any of it out. I am still very much astonished at the Brad Stevens college to pros transition, the coach,
finance bro.
I mean, gosh,
what was he? Mortgage bro? He's something.
Can he not miss? I mean, just really phenomenal that what they've done. You know, they lose.
How about like backing into like Missoula? They had like the coach of the year,
right,
and then there was the scandal, and so he's gone. And then like this, you're like, oh, Joe Missoula, it's not going to work out. And you're like,
and Ime Udoka obviously is a good coach. He went and led the daggone Houston Rockets to the
thought for sure.
seed.
Well, they're not going to recover. They're just like it's like some random assistant used to play at West Virginia. Yeah, there's no way Joe Missoula. Okay, of course they did.
So how about it, Amy? With what we are seeing here, I'm really curious how low the ceiling is in the East, because the Sixers theoretically could have a chance. We talked about this in a previous podcast, but the spin on it that our producer Ben Barry has provided is that if Embiid isn't 100%, he isn't 80%, he isn't quite what he used to be, he can't play 60 games, is the ceiling in the East low enough that the Sixers can still be in that top 3, top 4 conversation without Embiid being the 60 games, 30-point a game type of player, if he's not close to what he was or what we've seen him at his peak?
I mean, I still am waiting to see what the other shoe that drops with the Celtics, because they're obviously preparing for something.
Well, we thought the Brooklyn Nets were doing something with 5 first-round picks, but they went and drafted 5 guys.
5 dudes. Yeah. They have 5 rookies that are going to start.
So sometimes it's not. It is what it is. What it is.
Sometimes the zebra with stripes is not a zebra. It's just a horse that's been painted. So it's very strange to me. But I think that the East is still, I would say maybe they could be up to like 5 or 6 in that scenario.
The Knicks don't have a coach.
The Knicks will get a coach, and the coach will be just fine. They're exceptionally still a very talented team.
There's opportunity.
They still have, there's opportunity to be like the
you're saying the Magic 5 or 6. Good gracious.
The Magic are still better. And I know the Celtics are in a big sell-off, but I'm sure they're making a move for something, and they still have the finals MVP last
So
I
your
checked.
way too early Sixers season prediction is like 5th or 6th.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And the thing is, I've said this before, I think Joel Embiid plays 50 games, and I think he averages 22 points a game. And that's actually very
I'd be happy with that.
I'll take
coming off a knee surgery.
What I don't know is what Paul George will give you. Paul George will not play 50 games and average 25 points. That's not happening. So that's where my question comes from. And so when people ask why I want Quentin Grimes, I'm like, well, Quentin Grimes can score 20 points a game for me. I don't know if Paul George can be that guy.
The answer to the question is it revolves around more than just Joel. Basically.
It does. It's more PG it's both. It's obviously both, but it's a lot. The Celtics, it's still going to be the Celtics until it's not the Celtics. It's still going to be the Bucks until Giannis has left the building. It's still obviously going to be the Pacers, because you saw what they did. I know Halliburton's not there, and I know the odds have the Sixers as the 4th best team in the East, and they have them above the Pistons and the Pacers. I think that Pistons team is still very good. I think they could catch somebody. I think last year they were a year away from being, somewhere contending. The Magic are obviously very good, and I mean the Pacers.
Well, I think
I can't count them out.
This all really plays in the Cleveland's favor. I mean, and they're a great regular season team. The problem is, well, if they can be healthy, I mean, and just
still a really good team,
play at the same level they did last season. I mean, there's no Pacers to stand in the way, no Celtics. I mean, you're expecting one of these other teams. The Bucks theoretically to trade Giannis. Lillard's still coming off an injury. You're looking for the Magic and Desmond Bain in them to.
I think the Magic will be better. I think the Magic will be better. I think they'll be a top 3 team, which is like bananas to think about, because it's been a hot minute since the Magic were in any kind of conversation.
That is true.
Penny Hardaway days.
It is. I remember
remember those little penny commercials? I loved those.
Oh, great. Those quality.
Best.
Chris Rock at his best.
The best stuff.
But listen, a lot more to get to here with the Sixers team as the off-season progresses, the season gets closer. We will hopefully have Noah Levick on our next podcast, and be sure to check out his work on NBC Sports Philadelphia.com. Me and Amy have some other stuff that we need to get to. So we will thank you guys for tuning in and checking us out.
Thank you for bringing up the apples.
Great work. Oh, you're welcome. spice it up a little bit. But
can't
much
believe
love to everybody out there. Thanks for listening and watching. For our producer, Ben Berry, I'm Danny Pommells. This is Amy Fadool, and you've been watching and listening to the Sixers Talk podcast, brought to you by Wilmington University.